Me and my girl Tam and a couple of other friends, we used to get together on YouTube. I think it was we called ourselves the Sister Circle, and we would just talk about different stuff. So when I was with my classmates this past weekend, Tam was like, "We should do that again." Hey, Teresa. So I said, "Yeah, let's just have a conversation." So I said, "Well, what should we call it?" And she said, Tammy said, "Let's chat." I like it. I like it. So there are a couple of things we're going to talk about, and I sent her something that we're going to talk about, but there's some other stuff that she don't know we're going to talk about. Hey, Pastor Ball. So, okay, if y'all would mind, do me a favor and tap the screen. Just tap, 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 tap. So this woman, her name is Tam. I'm gonna allow her to introduce herself, but she is, even when you don't see some, let me tell you something. This is why I say you all, you new generation folk, y'all don't really, I don't know how to say it. I'm not trying to be disparaging to you, but friendship, y'all don't really know what friendship is. Okay. And I say that because friendship, a true friend is not somebody you got to talk to every day, all the time. It's not. But when you connect, it's like no time has passed. I've known this woman since the ninth grade. We connect off and on throughout the years, but I swear, when we get together, it's like no time's passed. That's my sister. That's my sister. And that's what friendship is. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm TJ Randolph and it's TJ Life Lessons. And you see this picture behind me, and it's a mosaic piece of art. And I had a picture of me, and I sent it to a artist. And I said if they could do something to make it into a mosaic, because when you think about what a mosaic is, it is actually a piece of art made of broken pieces, broken tiles, broken glass, different colors, shapes, sizes. And then when you put it together, it's something beautiful. So that's what I consider myself. I consider myself to be a mosaic. I consider you, if you've lived through anything, because life is a bunch of different pieces. Okay, it's not about the pieces, but how we put them together to make something beautiful. That's where I am right now. But without further ado, I'm going by my girl Tam up here. Let me get her. I'm sending you the invite now, Tam. I just sent it. Let me know if you have any problems. There she is. Tam.
Well, how do I turn my camera on?
Okay, you should touch. You touch. You touch your picture, and then there's a camera on the bottom, and you should be able to touch it. Touch your picture. You see it?
I do.
You touch it, and then there you go. Now you got to turn me. There you go. There you go. That's my girl Tam. That's my girl Tam. Yes. That's my girl Tam. Listen, you are in. You are in. Thank you for coming through tonight. So, I kind of told a little bit about you, but I want you to tell a little bit about you. How do we know each other? How do we forget to, get close? Just talk. We just talking.
The thing about it is you connect with people in different ways. And some people that you meet, it's just an automatic connection. It's the spirit that draws you together. Sometimes nothing needs to be said. So we come from two different worlds. You a Delta, I'm an AKA. But we sisters. You know what I'm
But
saying?
we wasn't always we wasn't always neither
We
one
knew
of them.
where we was going.
Okay. Was Allie? Well, we knew each other in high school, right?
We knew each other in high school. And so when you attach to someone, that attachment is like a soul tie. And that's a true friendship. Okay. And like you said, we don't have to talk every day.
Mm-mm.
We don't have to talk every month.
Mm-mm.
But when we do talk, it's like we talked the day before.
Word.
And so, those are true friends. Those are true friends. And so I thank God for that. And, the school that we went to was so small.
Yeah.
And just the connections that we had this past weekend, was a true testament and confirmation that those bonds are real. Because we hadn't seen some of our classmates since we graduated 40 years ago.
Right.
It was just like yesterday. Like we picked up where we left off.
And we laughed. Did we laugh? Did we laugh?
A great time was had.
We cut up. Straight up.
Yes.
Cut up.
Absolutely we did.
And,
Absolutely.
and to your point, Tamara, we went to a small school, did we not? How many was in our graduating class?
I still say it was about 67. We were a very small class. And I think it was about 67. If it wasn't 67, it may have been about 65. It was 60 something.
But it wasn't 100.
Oh, definitely not 100. Definitely not 100. No. The thing about it is, when I pledged at Grambling, my line that I pledged on was almost as large as our graduating class.
Wow.
There were 43 of us.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And then also we talked about the fact too, well, some, because our school was a small school, some know each other as far back as kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade.
Yes. So I actually came to Millwood in the 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from 4th to 12th. Some of our classmates started in the kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went from kindergarten to 12th grade. But the thing about it is, it didn't matter what year you came. It was just like you had been there the whole time.
Kinda. Unless you came in high school when I did.
But still, you were able to make those connections.
I did.
And those ties.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't matter when you came.
This is true.
Family.
This is true. Tamara, somebody said Anthony Q. He said, "Hey, hi, Tamara."
Hi, Anthony.
Does he know you, or is this an admirer from the chat?
You have to ask him that. I don't know.
Do you know Tamara? Are you an admirer from the chat, Anthony? Okay, so we're about to get into some real stuff. Okay, so me and Tamara are in our 50s, and I'll say I'm 58 because Tamara's not 58 yet, and she reminds me at every chance.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
But yes, with your thanks, Cassandra. I have Cassandra who's in here, she is my veteran sister. But we want to talk about some real stuff. Now, I sent Tamara a video. Okay. I sent Tamara a video, and this is our first topic that we're going to talk about. So, are you ready to talk about it, Tamara?
I am.
Okay. Let me do this real quick because I need to put this background in here. Effects. Okay. So, I'm about to do this here. I'm about to turn my camera around. Do you see this beautiful woman right here? Okay, so I'm going to turn my camera around so we can, so y'all can see her and not me. I'm gonna try to anyway. So while you see this beautiful woman here, I'm gonna play her story. I want y'all to listen to her story because I'm gonna play and then I'm gonna tell. Then Tamara, I'm gonna ask Tamara what she felt. Let me see if I can find a better picture of that. This woman here, this beautiful lady here. Yeah, this is. There we go. There we go. There's a better one. Okay, so I want you to listen to this, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it, cause this hit us both in different ways. Okay, so let me pull it up. Sorry, I wasn't ready. What's that noise, Tamara?
Girl, I just knocked over my water bottle.
Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, we're about to get into it. All right.
In 2018, my husband set me on fire.
Can you hear it?
We've been together for 15 years, and here's some of the red flags that I missed in the beginning. Number one, road rage. Acting completely insane in front of me in the car, even though it made me uncomfortable. Number two, wanting to move in with me very soon after meeting when it appeared that he didn't have anywhere else to live. Number three, so much pornography that it's uncomfortable as a problem and would not stop when I asked. Number four, secretive. I couldn't use his laptop, didn't want to give me passwords to anything, hid papers in the closet. Number five, silent treatments when he was angry at me. Pouting with his lip stuck out like a 3-year-old when he was mad at me for being mad at him. And lastly, lying about everything. And you know they're lying, but you try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They will not change, and you are not safe. I love y'all. Remember that whatever you're going through, this too shall pass.
Okay, Tamara, you looking sideways, babe. Can you turn your camera? Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, so did you hear? Were you able to hear that?
Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely, I was.
Okay. Were the people in the chat, were y'all able to hear that? If you didn't, the synopsis is this woman, her name is Burned Beauty 2018. She is on TikTok. I follow her. When I sent that to Tamra, what did you say?
I said a lot of things. However, there were some experiences very similar to that I went through in a relationship that I was in. And so it was a trigger for me because those things are real. And what you think about is the fact that you yourself could have been the type of victim that she was. Okay? Because we ignore so many of those red flags. And we tend to make excuses
Mm-hmm.
for the behavior that's present at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
And so those types of things and that type of behavior, that's emotional and psychological abuse. It's really called gaslighting.
Okay.
But we make excuses because that is what it is designed to do, is to make us question ourselves, our sanity, if what we're thinking is real, if what we're seeing is real, if the way we're processing it is real. And so it serves a purpose.
And here's the thing, I want to go ahead and put this out there. Although me and Tamara are women, it works the opposite way too.
Absolutely, it does.
It works the opposite way too. We're just talking about, from our perspective. And here's the thing, when I saw it again, I was triggered as well. Okay. Because I've said it all the time. And many of you, and those of you who have been, following me, I think, it was, 2017. I brought my brother from California to, to basically save his life because he was going through a hard time in California. And so my father and I had discussed about bringing him to Texas and to save his life. And he's the one that ended up saving mine. And I think about what could have happened and if my brother was not there when it turned violent. So I get you, and I think I've seen her story. I could be wrong, but either it's her story or a similar story that I've seen on television. Because she talked about that they were married for 15 years, but she also talked about that wanting to move in early. So, but it's manipulating, is gaslighting. But I had to go ahead and take onus for some of the stuff that I allowed. Why did I feel the need to allow this man to move into my house so quickly?
Because that they are very charming. They have some narcissistic behaviors. They're very charming. They know what to say. They know when to say it. They know how to reel you in. And so, yes, we take responsibility for our response to the behavior that is exhibited, because it is what we have allowed.
That's it.
What we've allowed. And so I take full responsibility for my part in my situation. I do.
Now, without giving too many details, do you, are there any examples that you care to share with respect to some of the things that she talked about without, going too deep?
Absolutely, I do. The password thing was one.
Okay.
Not sharing passwords. I was very willing to share my password, but he wasn't.
Okay.
But then because I'm an investigator.
Yes, you are. In real life. Now, she ain't just saying it. In real life.
Yeah, and so I have my ways of getting the information that I need, self-taught and professionally taught. And so I was able to gain access to some things that I needed to gain access to. And it was at that point that I learned why he did not want to share those things with me. Because that was a platform that he used to share and receive all kinds of pornography.
Uh-oh.
Like dirty pornography. And there were inappropriate comments that went along with the pornography. Which, very inappropriate, very inappropriate. So when she talked about the pornography, I can relate to that. When she talked about the passwords, I could definitely relate to that. When she talked about him being angry with her and just not communicating.
Him being angry with her because she was angry with him.
He was angry with him, and then he just wouldn't talk to her. You be in a house with someone for days, and there's no conversation. Stanley said, if you have to go through that, just leave. If it were that easy, if it were that easy, I agree. But if it were that easy, many, many individuals would do that. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a problem. So it's very easy to speak on a situation if you've not experienced it.
I agree. Tamara, I talked about um back before I met that individual, obviously before I met my husband, I had a friend that I worked with. And she I remember she would talk the guy that she was with at the time was living in her house, okay? And I remember, she didn't tell me anything about the relationship at first until he was invited to a company picnic, and I saw how he treated her in public, okay, amongst co-workers, because she was overweight, and that's not the issue, but it was how he treated her. So I'm thinking, if he treats you like that in front of people, your co-workers, your bosses, I can only imagine how he's treating you in your house. And so, she was like a little sister to me. And so she started sharing stuff. I said, kick him out your house. That's your house. You don't have to. And she kept saying, TJ, it's not that easy. And I said, what you mean that's not that easy? Get that N-word out your house. I was going off, Tam. Off. Fast forward to when I'm in that situation with that person. And she had been with him for years. Years. I was only with this person less than a year. So when I started experiencing that, I was literally afraid in my own house. Because the moment that you take your control back is actually the most dangerous position to be in.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So I was literally, so once it got passed and the crap hit the fan, police were called. I believe my brother, within a few days, I called her. I said, I'm sorry. I understand now.
And the moral of that, not to cut you off, but sometimes we question another person's behavior, and we become extremely judgmental.
Yeah.
Sometimes God will put us in those very same situations to teach us.
Yeah. Girl. And here's the thing, I often prided myself. I said, because I saw my mother deal with some stuff like that. And I said, I will never. And for the most part, I held true to that. But I was 49 turning 50 when that happened. And I had to go to her. I said, I'm sorry. Because I was talking from a place that I had no clue. Let me read some comments. Stan says, I've been on the other side and we always show our hand. We do. We show our hand, and that's what we're talking about. And that's what the lady's talking about. The red flags that she ignored.
I also want to say, because Cassandra, it's either Cassandra or Cassandra, so forgive me for one of those being wrong. She made a statement, I have married friends who live as roommates. They don't even like each other. Why do they stay? Which is a good question. And there may be, it's multifactorial. People stay for many reasons, for financial reasons. They may stay because they feel like they can't do any better. They may stay because they may be codependent. They may feel as if this person that they're with and the problems that they have, that they can fix them.
Yeah.
And they can make them right. But if they leave them, they'll be sad. And so their codependency kicks in. And the list goes on and on and on. There are a number of reasons. I don't have a direct answer for that other than it's multifactorial.
And Teresa says, as a former victim, we tend to provide excuses for them and we don't think that we can do better. And that's exactly what Tam said. And again, it goes back to, especially if you've been in it for a long time.
Well, for a little bit of time. It don't take a long time.
This is true. And I was about to correct myself because I'm gonna tell you something else. And it's very, like you said, it's situationally dependent. Thank you for the gift because what was happening in my life at that time. And it's not just about weight, but weight was a factor for me.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a factor for me. I was in my late 40s. My daughter was growing on her own. I was not getting the attention that I used to get. I'm just keeping a buck with you. So my self-esteem was not there. And it's so interesting because a lot of times women, we can be really grounded and successful in our careers and all these other aspects, but that one that we're not, we find ourselves compromising because we won't compromise like that in careers, like the hell you say, because we know we got, if we trying to go up the ladder, there's some things you gotta claw your way up to do it. But when it comes to personally, we will make excuses, justify, and it's not about compromise because in any relationship you're going to compromise because you're talking about two different people. But when it is evident, like Stanley said, if you show your hand and we say, well, that's not really what it was this. But no, it was really that. It was really that. It was really that. Because, and then she said he lied about everything. Child, let me tell you something. Listen up, ladies, if you're here, and men too. All I had to do, and you don't get everything, all I had to do was a simple background check on him. Because after the crap hit the fan, I found something, I forget the name of it, but it's basically a background check site. So I remembered enough information to type his name in, drug stuff, assault stuff, right there, right there.
Can we digress for just a moment?
Go ahead, Tam.
Because you made a very valid point that hits home for me. When we talk about self-esteem and we talk about weight, I want to talk about that
Okay.
because a lot of times we do settle because we feel as if we can't do any better. And so that creates problems for us, men and women.
Mm-hmm.
I see my friends in relationships. I see my friends getting attention by all of these men, and I'm lonely. I'm lonely. And so this man is giving me some attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not that bad.
That's what we'll say. He's not that bad.
How many times, seriously, how many times have we said that? He's not
Yeah.
that bad.
Right.
And so we began to convince ourselves that he's not that bad.
Okay, to that point. Because I'm gonna tell you what we did. I'm gonna tell you what I did. Going back to the justification. Because when that person met my people, they wasn't feeling them day one. But that's a whole nother thing. They seen it. They seen it. Okay. And so because I know my personality, we know our personality. By this time, I'm in my late 40s. You figure you're settle on your way. So what my justification was when he was cussing me out, calling me out my name, what I said was, okay, well, he's just not going to let me run over him because I really have I know I have a dominant personality and he's just not going to let me run over him. So it's really not that bad because it's me. It's me because if I wasn't so domineering, he wouldn't feel the need to cuss me out and call me out my call me out my name.
So he's gaslighting. He's gaslighting you. And so I did a little research
Go ahead, give it to us, Tam.
about gaslighting,
Give it to us.
which is known as a form of psychological abuse They try to make you think that you have a bad memory or that you didn't hear something correctly and you didn't see what you thought you saw, or you didn't hear what you thought you heard.
Mm-hmm.
And so they begin to project their flaws onto you.
Girl.
Like if they're a cheater or if they're a liar, then they accuse you of that. And so they begin to project all of these things. They tend to have some narcissistic behaviors. And they want everything to be about them.
And nothing is ever their fault.
Nothing.
Teresa said, I did settle due to not being comfortable in my own skin. And here's the thing, men or women, what we fail to realize, they see us coming.
Oh, absolutely they do.
They see it. They see us coming. And we fool ourselves into thinking, oh, we confident with this. We fool ourselves. Right. Okay. Stanley said, we study y'all. Correct.
For most of you do. For most of you do.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. See, at peep game, Stanley, you said a word because I said this the other night. Okay. When I was dating that person, and this is just the example that I'm using this because this was the most life-changing one, other than when I, had my daughter with my ex-husband, because again, it could have took me out of here. The whole time I had lived in that house, I had never had the police come to my house. Ever. So my boss, and I talked about this the other day, my boss was my mentor before he was my boss. He was my mentor, because he worked for the same agency, but he was in a different department of the agency in a whole different building. And so I reached out to him because at the time he was in DC and I was in Texas, and I reached out to him because I liked his leadership and he took me under his wing to be my mentor. So ultimately I got promoted and he came over. So he was my boss. And I remember when I introduced him to that person, it was around Christmas time at the company Christmas party. He met him, my boss was very, professional and blah, blah, blah. But a few months later in March, it's time for my mid-year review. And we were just talking. And all of a sudden he says something to me, he said, TJ, you're shrinking. I thought he was talking about my weight, Tam, because I was trying to lose weight. And then we were talking, I said, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And then he said something about, TJ, you are this, and you deserve the very best. Blah, blah. I'm like, well, thank you, sir. And I'm thinking, because it's about my mid-year. So when I go home and then I'm encountering this fool and some of the things, I said, so I went back a day or two later. I said, sir, when we were talking about this, were you talking professionally or personally? He said, I don't know. What do you think? And I said, well, sir, I think you're talking personally. He said, when I said you were shrinking, it's because you're not the same person I met over a year ago. The person I know you to be, strong, confident, assertive, that person is shrinking. And that's not you. And I've noticed a change in you. So what Stanley said, this is my, all we were at a professional, there was never anything. Like I said, he was a mentor to me, but they see stuff that we refuse to see.
And I'm glad you said refuse, because we have our rose-colored glasses on and we trying to make everything rosy, okay? And so we began to compromise. I like what Stanley Earl said. Women tell us everything we need to manipulate.
Child. Listen, there's a show. His name is Tony. I forget his name, but he has a show, and he would have men on the panel, right? Like we hear, and the women would come on, and they would ask, "Well, what kind of man are you looking for?" And we would start
yapping,
telling them. telling them.
That's why when I'm asked that question,
Uh-huh.
I will not answer it. So, what are you looking for in a relationship? What are you looking for in a man? I refuse to answer those types of questions.
Stanley said he was on that panel, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Just like he said, y'all give us all the information that we need to manipulate you. So what do?
Become that.
They become exactly what you're looking for. That's their representative. And then when they pull you in and they get you hooked, then they show you exactly who they are. But by then, you 10 deep. 10 and 10. 10 fingers and 10 toes.
And the difference between men and women, and I could be wrong because Stanley correct me, men don't do that generally. Generally.
I'm glad you said generally.
Generally. But I learned the last time because y'all know I met my husband online. And in my profile, I specifically said, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know what I'm not looking for. And that's for real. Because I had enough of saying, well, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for this. So by the time I had, I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm not looking for.
But when we have to resign ourselves to the fact that everything that's good to us is not good for us.
Say that one more again, Tam.
Yeah. Everything that's good to us is not good for us. And we need to start thinking beyond the moment. Think beyond the moment.
I had a revelation. What really started me to think about where I was and the choices I had made in relationships was a friend of mine. This was before I met my husband. Thank y'all for the gifts. Y'all glowing, Tam. They giving you gifts. Yes. There was a friend of mine, and I saw him on Facebook. They were celebrating 20 years of marriage. And I stopped and asked myself, dang, how many relationships have I had the last 20 years? In the last 20 years? Today one. Now, again, I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, but what I do know, they seem to like each other. They seem to love each other.
They make it work.
And they in it to win it. Okay? So I said, wait a minute. And then Halle Berry, I don't know if you've seen, Halle Berry and her guy, they've been together for 5 years, and she was on a show, and she said, that's the longest relationship she's ever had. How about the relationship I had with my husband is the longest relationship I've ever had?
Okay.
So, yeah. And interestingly enough, this is the longest relationship I ever had. And guess what? Did not tell him what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Didn't tell him what I was looking for.
Right.
So we're sharing these things because you can make these mistakes young. And, we made some poor choices young, but I made some poor choices older. I was 49 when I was with that person. So, but sometimes, well, it's better to find out late than never at all. I'll just put it like that. And I'm glad that I'm alive to tell a story.
Right.
So, Tam, when you said that some words to the effect, what did you say? What's good for us versus how did you say it?
Said everything that's good to you,
right,
is not good for you.
So Can you give examples of how you qualify that based on what you've seen or you experienced?
And then I said, think beyond the moment.
Yes.
So, personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was lovely. It was great. We were having fun. We were doing things. We were traveling. We were VIP this, VIP that, living the life wonderfully. Okay? Not wanting for anything. It was great. And I can't emphasize that enough because it was great. After the time passed and COVID hit
Okay.
and lifestyle started changing, okay? And everybody was stuck in the house and couldn't go anywhere and couldn't do anything. Then those facades started to
Uh-oh.
diminish.
Really?
And the real person, without all of that stuff, presented. And so we don't really think about what could happen beyond what we're going through or what we're experiencing at that particular time,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
I
Yes.
never thought about, well, what if something happens and we're no longer able to do these things? Or maybe let's just live a normal life and not do those things, and let's just see how things are.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Without all the grandiosity.
Exactly.
Right.
When all of that went away, that person was unable to function because that was all they knew. It was a facade.
Okay.
And so they had to be who they truly are.
And that created the tension.
Oh, that created the tension. And so that person started trying to find other ways to get back to that. But the hand had already been showed at that point.
Now how many years or how much time before that do you think? Before you started to see before the facade started to come off?
To be perfectly honest, there were red flags
Okay.
along the way that I chose to ignore
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
made excuses for
Mm-hmm.
because I was enjoying myself.
Ah, okay. Peep game.
It was good to me.
Okay.
Okay. And so I can't lie and say he just all of a sudden started being like that. The signs were there. I chose to ignore them because it was good to me.
Uh-oh. Are y'all listening what she's saying? Okay, so here we
I
go.
can't blame him.
You share, let me share. Because going back to that person, how about the first time we met in person? The red flag was in your face. Well, what are you talking about, teacher? Let me tell you. Okay, we had some conversations on the phone, right? And it was online because this was a Black People Meet, okay? And the reason why I chose Black People Meet because a coworker and friend had met her husband, and they still together on the side. I'm like, well, she had a good result. Let me try it. So we meet, we talk, and the girl, please, pictures look nice, conversations seem okay. We meet at the park because see, I don't have a problem with it. We meet and talk. So we get to a point that we walk back to his car and he wants to sit in the car and we're going to talk. And he wants to, cause he was a music enthusiast. Okay. He said, yeah, I want to, let you hear my sound system. Girl, I'm 49. All of a sudden he's blasting this sound system to the car is vibrating. And the park that we are at is like a Nichols Hills area.
No.
So the folks is looking at us, and I'm like, would you mind turning that down? And he looked at me like, you bougie bitch. Now, the person that I am, I should have said, exactly. And I can tell the person, so exactly, Stanley. So there shouldn't have even been a second meeting.
But there was.
Because I'm saying, well, Terry, maybe you're just too uppity. But damn that.
To question yourself.
Damn that. And if I was too uppity, I'm too uppity. Period. But I justified, I said, well, maybe you shouldn't be so.
Uppity.
Yes. Yes. Get girl. I mean, windows, everything's shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Stanley, you believe what you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Girl. I continue to see him. And then wait, there's more. So listen, ladies, how we justify, because I talked about how being too accommodating, just to give it a chance, because I wasn't. You say Stanley said he's a reform manipulator. Uh-oh.
Okay, Mr. Stanley. But manipulators take full advantage of those types of situations.
Uh-oh. Mr. Stanley wants to join the conversation, Tam.
Huh?
Mr. Stanley, come up to join the conversation.
Oh, we need to see him.
Say what? What's going on, TJ?
Mr. Stanley,
You know I change my name every week.
we need to see you.
Wait a minute. Is this
Goldie?
Goldie?
Yeah.
Okay, Tam, he's a real person. I know Goldie. He's telling the truth. He's a reform manipulator.
Is he a real person?
Yeah, he's a real person.
Okay.
He's a real person. Yeah.
Yep. And I was never physically abusive with women ever, but I used to be like a predator. I'd study women. And a lot of times what happens, we'll start off real good. Like you said, y'all were traveling, y'all were doing everything. But then when we get tired of being in a relationship and we don't really know how to break it off, but we really don't want y'all to see nobody else, that's when we start treating y'all hateful. That's when we start pulling back, because we don't want to be in this no more, but we don't want to let y'all go.
And y'all draw us in.
Exactly. And here's what happens. Like, we'll kind of let y'all, we may not talk to y'all for a week or two. And then when we feel y'all starting to pull away, we know what bait to put on the hook to reel y'all right back in, and y'all take it every time. And we reel you back in. We start doing what we used to do in the past until we get you back in, get y'all comfortable. Then we start acting a fool again. Yeah.
You talking some real stuff.
Oh, I used to do it for years. I was good at it.
Tamara, he was on that panel that I was telling you about, that the women would come up and he would be the one to set the women straight, to say you're messing up. He was trying to give them game, and they still wasn't listening.
And I tell women to this day, if you, even on this app, if you see a man telling y'all everything you want to hear, he's full of shit. There's other shit back there.
That's real.
No, that's 200% real.
Yes.
Any man that tells y'all everything y'all want to hear and sounds so sweet with it, and all these beautiful answers and all this great advice, excuse my friends, them men are fucked up. But a man to come on here and tell you, hey, look, baby doll, don't believe shit that comes out of our mouth. Believe everything. Believe with your eyes when it comes to men. Believe with your eyes and stop giving us the benefit of the doubt. Stop. We show y'all who we are up front. But because I may be handsome to you, or I may smell good, or I may, I may go to church and, because I'm going to tell you, I used to use that church thing to my advantage because I could quote scripture, I can quote the Quran, I can quote the Baba Gita, all of it. And what do most women say? They want
They
a good
want a
God
God
fearing
fearing
man.
man.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll take you out on a date, and if you're real spiritual, and I know I want to hit it, but I know that you're gonna be kind of difficult because you're kind of spiritual. We'll sit there across the table eating and laughing or whatnot, and you'll say something halfway funny, and I'll be like, that reminds me of First John, the 3rd chapter. Yeah. And y'all like that kind of stuff, and you be like, oh Lord, this man's spiritual. I'm just reeling you in. Yeah, I mean, that's real life. That goes on. Like, I'm telling y'all, like,
Tamara, I don't know if you're there, but you frozen, babe. But go ahead, Goldie.
yeah, I'm just like, I wish more men would be honest with women and stop playing with them.
Okay, Tim, I'm a disconnect you and bring you back. Okay, there you are. There you are. There you are. There you are. Okay, there you are. Did you hear what he was saying, Tam?
I heard everything that he was saying, and I was commenting because he's 100% right. He's
Yeah.
100% right.
Because guess what, Tam?
What?
You tell me everything I need to get you.
I used to.
And I'll sit across the table from you, and I'll have my little revolver under the table, and you'll give me a bullet, and I'll put that bullet in there. You'll tell me how to manipulate you physically so I can get you in the room. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we study y'all.
Tam
Listen,
said I used to.
listen to that.
Yeah, but, like you said you were 49, TJ.
Mm-hmm.
You should have been an expert in Negroology
Should have been.
because you had seen it all. And that's what I don't understand. I'd be like, how are y'all not smarter than us?
Wait a minute. And there's even one more better, Goldie. My father was a PIMP, a real one. And the Svengali of that kind of hustle, I should have been much better
Mm-hmm.
at peeping game.
But then we become very gullible because I think there is, at some point, some kind of desperation. Everybody got somebody, and I want somebody too.
Yep.
I'm tired of being I'm tired of being by myself. I'm tired of being lonely. And so we begin to compromise and we begin to settle and we begin to make excuses because there's a portion of desperation. I'm
And
just
I and I had to be honest. And Kat Dimple says I'm getting back in the dating field since my husband passed 2 years ago. I needed this, and if nothing else, you can hear from us, but you've got to listen to the man. You've got to, especially like he said, he gonna keep it a buck with you. He's not blowing smoke up your behind. But we women, listen, we women, we don't want to hear that. Hell, we don't want to hear it from each other if we can keep it honest. Because if we try to keep it out, you just hating. No. We're trying to keep you from doing the stupid stuff we did. Because like Goldie said, I should have been talking about PhD. Should have been a PhD. But like Tam said, listen, because as my daughter was in high school and my metabolism started to change, going through menopause, and I've been just focused on her. For the most part, I had relationships, but I had something to fall back on if the relationship didn't work out because I had my daughter to take care of, to
You came
focus
you came out of the prime proving ground. You was in the army.
on. Yeah.
That is like if you could run the gauntlet in the army of those men, you should no man been able to get you at 49 years old and manipulate you
But
because
here's
you've
the
seen it
thing.
all.
Here's the thing, Goldie, because again, At 49, like Tamara said, my self-esteem was not like it was in 39 when I was on active duty, when you couldn't hit me in the ass with a red apple.
But we getting older. Stuff don't sit the way it used to sit. Uh, we can put on a few pounds. The skin is not as firm here as it used to be. The hair is thinning. We got all these physical things that's going on. And so, along with that, the self esteem at some point kind of starts to diminish.
And the problem is, a lot of times we won't be honest with it in the moment.
No, we won't
Because
be.
we and y'all can be mad at me if you want to. Many of the women out there who putting on airs know good and damn well they don't believe their own height.
Right,
Mm.
right. And then you got them that's going under the knife.
Well,
Can I tell y'all about that?
go ahead, Goldie.
I'm gonna be transparent.
Uh-oh, here we go.
We don't we don't like it. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm just gonna be totally transparent. I've seen several naked, and it ain't what y'all women think. It looks horrible. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real with you. Oh, in clothes, you'll see them. Oh, at the club, they looking good. You know, they butt be funny shape, but they chest be sitting up all high, and you know all of that. And then you take them clothes off, look like somebody done beat them with a bat. I
Uh-oh.
kid you not. And men don't like that. We don't mind a little gut when you get older. We'll slide under that bad boy like a mechanic. We don't care.
Talk about it.
You know, but when men see these women with these BBLs, like we look at them like, you know, yeah, I'll hit it, but you'll never go to the family reunion. So I think regular women with real bodies, y'all should have y'all heads held high. Because a BBL will get you knocked down, but it'll never get you to the family reunion, ever. You can't take that around your great auntie. They're gonna be like, girl, what's wrong with her? No, we don't. We'll play with that. But look at everybody that you know that's married. How many of them got BBLs? How many of them breasts sit up? You know, men like real women.
But
We do.
here's the thing though, Goldie. You said that married, but when you're back out there in the field, what you're saying is true. But I'm just telling you how we think.
Right. I get it because y'all thinking, man, this is what all the men like. Because if you go to a nightclub tonight, if you're single, and
Right.
you see the woman come through there with you know, they feel like police officers. They got everything. They got the waist trainers, everything on when you hug them. You know, y'all see that and y'all think that's what men want to play with. That seems like little boys. You know, you get your little boy a big pretty yellow Tonka truck, and he'll go crazy. He'll play with it for a little bit, but then a week or so later, he'll be back over here playing with his favorite truck.
Yeah.
See, we like little boys. We see that and we like, ooh, I won't touch it. You know, and we touch it and we be like, I don't like this. And then we'd rather have a woman with stretch marks, a little gut. That's who you marry. That's who you settle down with. Just think about it. All of y'all friends that y'all know are in stable relationships. Are any of them built like these women with these BBLs?
No.
None.
No.
None.
No.
Because men, when we want to settle down, we want a woman that we don't want that. We'll play with it. We'll toss it, flip it, but
Rub it down.
rub it down the whole nine. And then we like little kids. We're like, okay, I don't want to play with this no more because I'd rather have something. This is better over here. I know this will. I know men want a woman that they can feel proud of when they go out with them. You know, you see that woman with that old lopsided booty, them little bitty legs, and the chest is sit up too high, and her belly button is not in the right place. You don't want that on your arm for real. It may look good for a minute, but long term, that ain't gonna last long term. And y'all should hold y'all heads high. Y'all should really be the ones with the self-esteem because think about it. Most of these women don't need BBLs, they need counseling. That's what they need. So if You got to push your boobs up to feel good about yourself. Then that's something mentally. That's mental. Because look how many these Instagram women that y'all see on Instagram that y'all be like, oh man, I know they single.
And many of them are offing themselves. I'm just saying.
Yes, they're not happy. They're not happy.
But here's the thing, though, and again, this is where the wisdom and the life lesson comes in, is because, like Tamara said, hi hair chic, and there was insecurity when I met that person, and still an insecurity when I met my husband, because not just the weight, but the skin and the hair. You understand me? Because me and Tamara have known each other since high school. I used to have a lot of thick hair. Well, when you look up in your 40s and your estrogen is starting to deplete, and then you can see what you're thinking because your hair is that thing. You're like, what the hell? Because women, our hair is our crown and glory. So it's a whole bunch of things that I started to consider. And because I started to consider in my 40s, I started to say, well, I may not have that many chances. So like Tamara said, well, he ain't that bad until he was.
Right. Until he was.
But it comes down to what I thought about, because we have to be honest. Every woman wants to be desired.
Absolutely.
Every woman wants to be desired. And when you are out there, whether you haven't been out there in a long time or whatever, and you're getting older, the young women are getting older too, but you ain't young no more. So you find yourself questioning yourself, because I did. Even when I met my husband, because again, I was 215 when I met him, hair thin, you understand me? Skin. So I had a great career. But again, when you're meeting someone at this stage in your life, you don't know, you just don't know. And then hold on, here we go. Then you go, because now people are online dating, because I can't tell you how many times when I have my profile, the men say, I don't want a woman that wears wigs. I don't want a woman that wears wigs. Well, shit. I wear wigs sometimes because I like, but sometimes because my hair is thin and I don't feel comfortable not wearing my hair all the time. So again, when you have that, a man telling you what I don't want, that already starts to fracture your fragile sense of self at the moment anyway.
And the little self-esteem that you have starts to diminish.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So can I ask y'all a question? And I have this theory, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
I think most women's husbands are in their friend zone. I think some of these women need to start shaking their friend zone tree.
Goldie, we
Because
talked about that. We
y'all
talked
put a
about
lot of
that.
good
You're right.
men. Y'all put a lot of good seed, because now everybody wants 6 foot, 6-pack, 6 figures, at least 6 inches. Everybody wants the same 8 Negroes. And I was watching a show like this, and this woman, she was 5'2", and she won't date a man under 6 foot tall. And I'm sitting there like, what? When the average height of a black man is 5'8". If you're 5'2" and you're dating somebody 5'8", you're gonna have to look up at him. He's taller than you. And I'm like, where are these standards coming from? Because a lot of women are single because they're passing up these guys that don't fit this 6'6", 6'6". And then they put a good man who really cares about them, who don't care about their weight, who shows them interest. They'll put him in the friend zone. Well, he don't have enough razzle dazzle, or I like a man with a full beard. And y'all put y'all husbands in the friend zone, and it's insane. And everybody, you got 22 million women all wanting 150 black men.
Goldie, you talked about that when we did a live several months ago, and you're absolutely right. And the funny thing about it, as a woman, and you say you want to be married to a man, shouldn't he be your best friend anyway? But so again, and I had to go ahead and think about myself, because I'm great. I'm blessed. But there were many a men who were my friends. They were heterosexual friends, but knowing what I know now, they wasn't trying to be my friend. They wanted to be more than my friend.
I like y'all like that. See, I call those guys orbiters, see, because if I say I like Tam, right? I'm shooting my shot at Tam and Tam swatting everything I'm throwing, and then she treats me like a buddy. I'm going to hang around Tam and I'm going to orbit around her waiting on a chance to land. So if a man, if there's any attraction from a man, he's not really your friend. Because Tam, you got some men that claim they're your friends now, right? Yeah. Pick up your phone 2 o'clock this morning and be like, hey John, I'm feeling a little lonely and it's kind of chilly over here. You want to come over? Man, before you hang the phone up, John gonna be knocking on your door. But I thought you was my friend. No, we don't want to be your friend like that. We just waiting on a place to land.
He's real. He's talking some real stuff.
Yeah, all that friend stuff. That's why your man, when you do get a man, he be like, man, that nigga ain't your friend.
Yep.
We just waiting for the green light.
Women do the same thing, and that's
Oh,
why
yeah.
we tell y'all she's not your friend.
But I think they know that.
Yeah.
No.
Men know that, but we women, we are obtuse, willfully obtuse. Cause men know that girl, it's funny like that that show Family Matters. Urkel was on Laura, but not paying attention to Myra. Because Urkel wanted Laura, she wasn't checking for him. But Myra wanted Urkel, he wasn't checking for her.
Mm-hmm. That's the same thing we do now. Here I'm chasing TJ. Tamara's in love with me, would do anything for me. But I'm chasing TJ. TJ's chasing John. John's chasing Susie. We all chasing what don't want us. Instead of stopping and turning around, and then boom, they'll run right into you.
And guess what happens? Time is passing. 20 years later, I'm asking, how many relationships was I in over the past 20 years?
Woo.
That's real.
And age will humble all of us. Because I went to South Beach, me and my buddies. And, you think you got it going on as a man, because when you was younger, you used to have it going on. Then you get in your 50s, and you sitting on South Beach, and you see these young, fine, oh, Lord, oh, my God. Everybody's beautiful in South Beach. And then here we are, as soon as them pretty girls come, we trying to hold our stomach in like they can't see our stomach and this gray hair on our face. And age will humble you. So as a man, you got to be like, I ain't got it going on no more. Like, I know what lane I'm in. And South Beach ain't my lane. But men get humbled too with age,
Yes, but we feel it's different because we women, and we could be wrong in thinking this, but we know for every man you got a whole bunch of women versus we know this. And even my husband has said it, and my husband has said that's why many men aren't trying to settle down, because they know they got the odds.
Yep. They say if every black man and black woman in this country who are marrying age and are eligible to get married, if every one of them got married, there would still be 2 million black women without a husband. That ought to scare the hell out of women playing games with John over here who really cares about them. Because somebody ain't going to get no husband.
And before y'all come over here, we know everybody don't want a husband. We're talking about the ones that do, or that want, or one that want to be in a committed relationship. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
If it ain't apply, and I'm gonna tell you something. And see, I want you, if there are any young women in here, then I say younger, that's 40 and under. Me and Tamara have been your age. You haven't been ours. It was easy for me to say at 35, even 45, well, I got time, and when I'm ready, until they weren't. So I'm not telling nobody to run out, but I'm glad that my daughter didn't do it the way that she recognized a good man early in her 20s, a hard worker, a good character man, who was loving, kind, respectful. Again, not just what he was saying, but what he was doing. They dated for a year, got married, and they almost 8. As a matter of fact, this is their wedding anniversary weekend this weekend. Because we make the mistake, and again, I got to go ahead and say, I made the mistake of thinking that once I settled down, I couldn't have fun. That's a lie. Again, going back to your best friend, if your husband or your wife is your best friend, don't you want to have fun with them?
Absolutely.
What about us men? We aging too.
No, really?
And any man with a gray beard out here running around trying to be a player is a fool. Because if you could pull back the curtain and see that old Seabiscuit ain't Seabiscuiting like it used to,
Uh-oh.
they don't want to talk about that. Well, you got to pop them little blue pills, before you go to the club, and then drag Seabiscuit across the line. Hey, I got buddies. We all in our 50s, and that horse don't ride like it used to. If we keep it all the way real. So, and then you get a man this age wants to be a player. I'm like, are you a fool? You better get somebody that's going, brush Seabiscuit's hair every now and then, and is okay with that. Y'all run around and trying to get these young girls like some fools, popping these pills, taking these honey packs. And that's what's happening out here. So don't let nobody tell you it ain't. Because if Tamara called me tonight, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give me a little glass of bourbon. I'm gonna squeeze one of them honey packs in it, and wait for it to kick in a little bit, and I'm on my way. You know what I mean? But that's the reality that us older guys are dealing with now. But we don't want to talk about that. And I got buddies, and because if I got a whole brand new box of honey packs over here, hey man, let me come through and get a couple of packs of honey. And that's what we dealing with. Because, hey, y'all got y'all stuff y'all dealing with when y'all get older. We got self-esteem issues, too. Because, like I said, that horse don't ride like it used to.
Dang.
But you know what? I think ours is more visual.
Hey, good evening. Now, hold on. Now we go ahead and get that fresh watermelon first. It's watermelon season. I don't need that honey pack. Give me that watermelon.
Most of these brothers ain't got time. We'll look at ingredients on everything but their gas station pill.
What's a watermelon?
Huh? No,
What's
fresh
a watermelon?
Get that fresh watermelon and lime juice. We in, baby.
My brother. Now you know good and well. Now you got buddies too.
Try that.
Yeah, it's easy to stop by the gas station and get that little rhino right there at the cash register.
Oh man, somebody get that, yo. No, they underlining themselves messing with that mess.
Hey, I'm telling you, you know how many brothers we'll
they
read
do it. Oh
we
yeah, they do it.
We won't drink tap water. We don't eat pork because of what's in it. But we'll grab one of them rhinos and don't even look at the ingredients, throw it in our mouth. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening with us 50 plus men.
Yeah.
Is that an energy drink?
Rhino?
Nah, it's a pill.
Oh.
It's like a big ass horse pill.
Yes.
Oh, and never mind. Just
no, go ahead. and the best way to tell if a man's on Viagra or something, if his skin feels real hot, yeah, he done took something.
OG's right though. Yeah, I mean, people be taking them.
Yeah.
I don't see why they take them. I'm like, man, if you just don't go ahead and get that watermelon, you don't have to drink it every day. You just have it.
Because it's easier. It's easier for me to just stop by the gas station on my way to Tamara's.
Yeah.
And get that little pill and circle the block 2 or 3 times so I feel a tingle and then go and ring the doorbell.
But see, you go ahead and mix it like you said. You said when you was talking about that honey pack, you can go ahead and mix that little watermelon thing with that bourbon too.
Yeah.
Now, are we talking about an actual watermelon?
Yeah, watermelon. So what I do, I love watermelon. I love juicing. So I do a lot of stuff with watermelon, cucumbers, and stuff. I've naturally done it over the years. So, of course, for me, it's like, well, shoot, I'm gonna go ahead and guzzle that real quick. I'm good. I'm Gucci, because it works. But I agree with him 100% because most brothers, they get that honey pack, they get that Viagra. Look, what's the new thing? That Shannon Sharp. that
Or the
Shay
little
Shay.
red pill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that little Shay Shay. Oh,
yeah.
people on that Shay Shay now. First it was the blue joint. Now they're on the red joint. That sharp. That what is it? Spark. He said this is Spark.
So women are getting BBLs and men are getting roast sparks.
Yeah.
It's the
Uh,
same thing, just in a different form. You know, cause now I pop one of them pills and I'm standing in the club like a samurai warrior, you know, and now my self-esteem is on 10, just like those ladies standing around there with them new bodies.
I feel like this. I remember one time I did do a pill. My boy, he was always talking about, he popped these pills, pop these pills. So I said, all right, let me get one. I told him, I said, yo, let me get at least half of it because I, I, I don't, you hear these stories sometimes. You're like, let me just get half of it. And when I got it, I was like, well, okay, it's not for me. It just didn't do anything spectacular that I was kind of normally doing. So I was like, man, let me go back with what I'd rather know. Let me go ahead. Let me get that. Let me get that watermelon shot. Because like I put them in little small shot things.
A lot of women are getting played by men with erectile dysfunction. Just keep it all the way 100.
Yeah.
These men are
Hey,
playing with y'all, and they got y'all stressed out, your hair falling out. And if it wasn't for them pills, he'd be just as humble and everything. So
and, and, and I'm gonna tell you this, brother. Sometimes, guess what? I'm gonna give you that 3 minutes and 38 seconds, and guess what? That's all I got, baby. Look, hey, it is what it is.
Okay,
You call me a loser, I'm gonna say, hey, there has been plenty heavyweight boxing matches. Some of the
okay.
greatest got knocked out.
We have a comment here from Cassandra. Says, why can't some men stay at home with their wives, but rather live on the streets with their boys?
He picked the wrong wife, I guess.
oh, come on, I am. Let's go and keep it all the way real. Because Miss TJ, I'm gonna use you as an example. I don't know, but I'm gonna use Tamara because you ain't married, are you, Tamara? See, me and you get together. Oh, you super freak. You off the chain. You wearing your little lingerie and all of that stuff. Then we get into the relationship. You kind of slack up a little bit. You know, you ain't nasty like you used to be. You don't put your little lingerie on. I don't come home from work and you standing there with no clothes on, none of that. You know, now what you do, you'll lay on your side and you'll kind of move your leg over a little bit so I can slide on in there. And it gets boring.
Ah!
So here's what so you at work and you see, you know, a little cute thing over there and she flirt with you, you know, and then you go over her house, she got your beer waiting on you. As soon as you walk in the door, she's getting busy. And we like, oh man. But then you go home and that excitement, y'all don't do that no more. And then we go get us a little side piece and she doing everything you used to do. So I think men and women need to keep it spicy in the bedroom because that's when men start looking elsewhere when they married or in a long-term relationship. They want that, they want that diabolical chick that they met, you know,
Not
3 years ago.
diabolical.
Yeah.
But also, hold on. Let's also keep it frank. Like you said, it's not always even about the sex, but be entertaining. My thing is this: we all work, correct? We got to pay these bills, X, Y, and Z. Um, job stresses out while we are not trying to make sure we enjoy ourselves. It can't just always you're home and you just kind of chilling and you want to get comfy. Now let's go out for a happy hour. Let's do a happy hour and talk shit about our job. Let's feel excited. But if you're not producing that, it's like I need some. Like he said, I kind of need that uppiness. I need some energy. I need some vibration. So if you're not gonna give me that at home because you all in your look, that you in my goddamn robe. You're not even in your robe. You in my damn big ass robe. You know what I mean? I mean, look, at least on a Friday have some boy shorts on. Keep me excited. If you want me in my tank top, look. As soon as I get home, I throw my tank top on. Your favorite jammies or your favorite little jogging set, whatever the case may be. Let us enhance each other because We're going through stress, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't the
Okay.
you know
Okay.
I,
I
I
understand
Cosby
slept.
that.
show.
I slept with my
This is
side
not
piece more than I slept at home.
this. Say what?
I slept with my side woman more than I slept with my main woman
Okay.
because
Explain that.
that little boy in me needed to be stimulated still.
I
Y'all
understand.
got y'all got to stimulate the little boy in the man
I
because
understand what he's saying.
yeah, man, I'd be stressed out. Like me and my woman would get in an argument about something stupid, and I'd call her and I'd be like, "What you doing?" She'd be like, "Nothing. You need to come over." I'd be like, "Yeah." As soon as I get in the door, she's like, "Hey, let's get cracking." And that's what happens. Then you come home, got to hear this mess from your woman, and then she won't give you some old you know, sex on your birthday, Christmas, and Easter, you know, and you go over here with Doc Wanisha down here in the hood, and she giving you the works like
And,
used to be.
and can we be honest about this? My thing is this: you can love your person, but here's the thing: did you be honest with yourself when you look at your spouse and say, "Do I actually like this person?"
I was
Because
I was gonna say that.
if you said you love and desire this person, you're going to invest. Hey, I'm gonna make sure my baby she good. Is it gonna be every day? No, we know that's not the reality. But my thing is this: it's all about enhancing our livelihood, and wherever that takes. Like I said, if it's every Wednesday, guess what? Me and you going soon as we get off work, we ain't going home. We're going to a happy hour. We're gonna go ahead and get drunk, get home, and we're gonna wrestle in those sheets. What do we got to do to enhance each other? But when I see in relationships, people are not being honest on the fact of like, do I actually like this person to invest in them?
Okay. Well, let me talk about something real quick. To that
Yes,
point,
ma'am.
and this is and again that's another reason for the conversation. Me and Taryn, we talked about some different stuff. One thing my husband said, we had a live about several months ago, and he said, I love her. He said, but I like her, and we like each other. But this is what I learned from being tried by the fire. Because you can say you love somebody, but do you generally when you have a best friend, you generally like them. You may not like them all the time because the ebb and the flow, but you like them. You laugh, you do silly stuff, you go out. And this is the first time I can say, and again, this is the longest relationship I had. Me and my husband, and we are not a lot alike, but we have some commonality. We laugh all the time. And to your point, I keep it high. You understand me?
Yeah.
I'm like Wanda. You ain't got to go nowhere. I got you. You ain't got to go nowhere. But here's the thing, though. And me and Tom, we were talking. If you as a woman don't feel good about what you looking like, that affects what you giving. Because here's the thing. The husband made, because even when I wasn't pleased with what I was looking like, my husband still was attracted to me. But I didn't feel sexy, even though he thought I was. But because I made a commitment and I said, I will never, ever, 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 ever. When you got it, you want it, you got it. That's it.
Yeah.
But when I start to get back to my, shedding some pounds, and I'm not, I'm not skinny by any means, but I start to feel a little bit more friskier. I did.
So can I ask you a question? Like, if like he met you, you said you were 215 pounds.
Hmm.
He had zero problem with it.
None.
And a lot of times in relationships, like a man, we'll get with y'all because we like you. We don't
Yes.
care about your weight. We don't care about your food pie. We don't care. But then because in y'all's mind, y'all don't feel good about yourself, then y'all kind of like back off physically when and so what are we supposed to do? Like, baby, I love you. Like, Lord have mercy. And
Me.
and y'all want to hide your belly from us. When I met you, you had a belly. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And when I
but
lay
right,
behind you, I put my hand on, I grab a handful of that belly, and I go to sleep like a newborn baby. But
right.
then you get up and you're like, I don't look at me. I'm like, what? I like all of that. You know what I'm saying? So if your man likes, if you 240 pounds and he met you and you was 240, okay, you may want to get skinny for you, but don't hide all that. Don't hide that 240 for me. I'll slide, I'll get my little creep, I'll slide under that food pile like a mechanic and go to work.
And, and, and that's why I agree with him on that. My thing is this: we're not telling you not to love yourself, and if
Right.
you feel that you need to better yourself, go ahead, but don't disconnect from me by doing that.
Right.
Because what you're doing is, and this what happens: you get better, you may drop me, because remember, the person I love was not this. The person I fell in love with was the person, like he said, I met you at 215.
Hmm.
And not saying that I can't love you at for 145, but do remember I loved you at 215. So don't discredit me and disvalue me after you get right with yourself and feel that, oh, I think I'm better now.
And I'm gonna tell you, I know a guy right now. His woman got on that Ozempic, and she lost a whole lot of weight, and he ain't attracted to her no more. He don't want to
What?
sleep with her no more. No, no, men that like thicker women, we don't want y'all to lose none of that. This woman got on Ozempic. She done lost the whole person. He's not attracted to her no more. He don't want to sleep with her no more. Yes, because he liked her thick. When men meet you and you got meat on your bones, don't do nothing.
I also tell this, ladies, be careful when y'all are losing weight in certain ways because remember, your origin genetics, you have to understand what your diet is in order to lose weight because what ends up happening is I had a friend, shapely system. Oh, I want to lose this weight. I said, okay, go ahead and lose the weight. So I told her, I said, hey, here's some ways to lose weight because you're an African American woman. You can't do things like what a white woman do or an Asian woman do. I'm not saying that you can't do certain things, but it's certain things you got to be careful on. She
Mm.
didn't want to listen. She wanted to go and listen the right way. She lost whole shape from the cats that was attracted to her. They were looking at her like, man, she got a bobblehead and
Yeah,
she didn't look too good, and she got
yeah.
depressed. And I said, I told you, you got to make sure when you doing this, you got to go in there stressless. Don't stress about it. Do what do what you got to do and stuff like that. But make sure that you're dealing with your origin diet. Certain things. One thing we learned, African American community. What did our grandmoms always cook? Soup. So even if you do a soup based diet and do your vegetables and your beef and stuff like that, less salt and all that stuff, and work out, you're gonna keep your shape and look good. Now, some of these people just want to just lose the weight, and you lose everything. You lose your muscle mass and all that stuff, and it's not healthy for you.
Oh, did you ever ask your husband? Did he want you to lose weight? I know you did it for you, but did you ever ask him? Because he would have probably told you, "Baby, I love you the way you are."
And he did.
Oh, yes,
And he
sir.
did.
Oh,
And he
oh,
did.
215,
But
220.
but my husband said, and again, you might think differently. And I said, honey, I said, if I was overweight to a point and you didn't like it, would you tell me? He told me no.
Mm,
He said because it wouldn't matter because he was gonna love me anyway.
mm.
And some people, look
But
at it because
that
what?
but
Oh, go
because
ahead.
he felt that that would make me feel worse about myself if he were to tell me that he didn't like, if I had gained too much weight. So and I'm like, but why not tell me? He says, I'm gonna love you anyway. He said, and that would just make you feel bad because you would probably be mad that I said that. I'm like, wow.
You know what he would probably do?
What?
Because there's ways to let y'all know y'all gaining too much weight. You may be like, you know what? I need to get in shape. So when he get off work, let's start walking, drinking water, and that way he's telling you, but he ain't telling you, and he's doing it with you. Because the truth be told, we probably could lose a little too. But I just hate to see our women. trying to get this European standard of beauty and size. Y'all are not built the way they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all got curves, and even when y'all are overweight, y'all just wear it so well. Good God, the morning.
You do that. Man, y'all wear it so
Because here's
well.
the thing. When a woman asks you, and you, how do I look in this dress? She not asking you how you look in this dress. She wants you to tell her you look good in this dress. Even if she don't. Now, me, because and again, that's just my whole way of thinking has changed. I'm very mindful. I've never been a risque dresser anyway. I just haven't. But I asked my husband, you know, what does he think about the dress? Or what does he think about what I'm wearing? Because I represent myself, but I also represent him. But when we ask the man, and I can be wrong, but generally speaking, we if we say we don't really want them to tell us that the dress don't look good on us, do we?
No.
We want
Hold on. Wasn't that you that said your husband kind of dressed kind of janky when you met him? And
Yes,
you had to get him all the way together?
yes.
Yeah, you didn't tell him he looked ridiculous in that suit, did you?
I didn't say it like that.
Yo, soon as I saw her look, she gave him that look like, how about we do this?
I
Right.
didn't because Tamara, I don't know if you heard this story, because that was actually me and Mr. Randolph's first disagreement. Because we had started dating, we hadn't even been dating. We had started dating in July, and we were getting ready to go to Houston to meet my dad, because my dad never going to be in Houston. So, but when we had gone out for church and stuff like that, he wore this suit that was just like, no. It was not only the suit, but these shoes that looked like no. So what happened was, while he was on the road, I went to his closet and I found his measurements, and I went to Men's Warehouse and I bought him a suit.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
I bought him a suit, right? So when he came over to my house, I said, I got something for you. And so I showed him the suit, and at first he seemed like he kind of liked it, but then he got really quiet. Because again, we're still getting to know each other, right? So I bought him a suit like within the first couple of months of us dating. And so he left, and then he sent me a text. No, he didn't leave. He says, are you sure you want to date me? I said, well, of course I want to date you. Why you say that? Well, are you trying to change me? You trying to make, you bought me a suit. I said, no, I'm not trying to change you. I said, and here's this is the catch. I said, because my husband this is way before he met me, he had lost about 100 pounds on his own. And what happened was he had a bunch of suits that were still too damn big for him. I said, you look like you're wearing your father's clothes. I said, you've done all this work on your body, you should wear something that flatters it. I said, wouldn't you want me to wear something that's flattering to me? And he said, well, yeah. I said, well, just try on a suit and see what you think. Girl, he went to the bathroom, tried that damn suit on, and came out. He said, you know what? I look like a model. I see what you're saying. You ain't gonna have no more problems out of me.
And
He felt
and
like new money.
I always tell people this: we got to remember when it comes to the culture of fashion, women culturally are the mecca of fashion. You know, men, we're simple. We can keep things simple. We have fashion taste. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to a woman is fashionable. When you just look at the world, they gear fashion to women. That's why look, these women can buy the stuff is the cheapest, and they got the most product being sold because they're going to spend more. 'Cause think about it: earrings,
Can y'all see
lipstick.
this?
Oh yeah. He's smooth. Is he on
You
the one
bought
on
him
the
that
left with
suit?
the gray
Yeah,
suit?
he's the one. Yeah, that he's standing next to my dad.
Hey, he felt like he felt like new money that night. He knew he said like I'm sharp. Yeah. See, you boosted his self-esteem. And he probably dressed sharp to this day, don't
He does.
he? Yep.
Yep.
He
He
does.
feel good about himself.
And that was the first time. That's when he met my father. That's when we were getting ready to go down to Houston in that September, and that's when he met my father.
So how did you, like, being single, you meet people all the time. How did you know it was him? Like what made you be like, he's the one? Because you nice looking lady. You done been in the army. I know them old muscle bound, old handsome dudes was trying to get at you. So you done seen them all. But then you was like him right there.
I didn't know at first. And it's funny because I said, we talked a lot. We met online, but we talked a lot. And again, after what I had been through, I wasn't sure I could trust myself, to be honest, because I thought, but then, and he's completely kind of like what you said, Tamara. He is completely different than any man I ever been with, ever. Because he's not, see me, here I am. He's very unassuming, but very confident. But it was something about his demeanor. And when we talk, it's so funny. And that's why, because when we met, we met our first day because I remember we connected on Plenty of Fish.
Worst one.
We met on Plenty of Fish. Okay. So we connected on Plenty of Fish on July 17th, 2018. Our first meet but we at FaceTime a couple of times, but actually meet in person was July 20th, right? So when we met in person, I thought he was handsome, but I wasn't sure because he seemed too skinny because he had lost a lot of weight and he was really pigeon-toed and he walked kind of, pigeon-toed like. So, but I knew that he was nice, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. And so when we had our first date, it was a really good date. And then he hugged me really tight when he walked me to my car. But I wasn't. So a day or so later, he wanted to meet with me before he went back out on the road because he's a truck driver. And I'm like, well, I'm getting ready to go to the store. You can take me to the grocery store if you want. And so, child, he came to my house and he had a 2001 Ford Expedition. and, and I said, well,
What nothing but God.
I said, we can take my car. He said, no, we'll take my car. And I'm thinking, okay. 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 So we go to the grocery store and we're walking up and down the aisle of Aldi because, just again, because we're talking, we're getting to know each other. And then when we get to the checkout line, he decides to pay for my groceries. So I'm like, again, he seemed like a nice guy, but I thought it was him, but I wasn't sure. So he, gets me back home and, he hugged me and then he kissed me and then I got weak in the knees. That was first. But again, I had to be more cautious because, I didn't know. But I swear the more I spoke to him and he was kind. And again, and and it wasn't a lot.
No, sister, because guess what you're telling? Guess what you're telling? You're telling an honest, genuine situation on love. And that's
And
what a lot of people don't do. Because I didn't mean to interrupt you, I apologize.
go ahead.
But I always look at the factor that, man, I had ancestors. I had ancestors before me. Now I know we live this different type of lifestyle and situations. We're traveling, we do this, we want the little glitz and glamours. But I said, what were our ancestors doing during one of the crucial times of sometimes they were enslaved?
Mm-hmm.
They fell in love with each other without any of the extra stuff.
Right.
Yes.
And what you had, based on, I'm just going off your vibe and what you're talking about, that's what you got.
And it's funny because I remember because my husband's been driving trucks for over 30 years. And and during that time he's had some hip issues. So I remember when we first started dating and he walked toward me, I'm like, he walked like an old man. But again, that's what I was thinking because again, I'm just, it's first. But I swear that the more I got to talk to him, I never even noticed it. I never even noticed it. And it was something I felt safe with him. I went out on the road with him in his truck within 2 months of dating him. On the road, in the semi. And it's so funny. He was so thoughtful and it's hey, and it's so fun. I remember, okay, so me and my sister took my mom to Las Vegas to see Stevie Wonder. It was in August of 2018. So again, it was still very new. And I asked if he could pick me and my mom up from the airport. Now, okay, so I'm thinking he gonna be down at the baggage claim for us, when we get there, and I'm gonna let him know. How about when you get off the plane and you walk toward because you can't be at the gate anymore, but comes to a point that you can, once you walk past the security, there's, your people are waiting for you. How about he's standing right there waiting for me? I was so shocked I couldn't even remember his name. I mean, I was so, I'm like, mommy, this is because I was expecting him to be at the baggage claim, but he had gotten there early, was upstairs waiting for us to walk, and it caught me so off guard because he was just thinking about me from the very beginning.
That's beautiful. You know how many
That's what I'm talking
women
about.
dismissed that brother that he went out with? And had you had that mindset where he had to be 6 foot, 6 figures, you would have missed that on that good man.
Yeah.
You know, he met none of what he met probably none of those boxes that you probably had before. And now look at you. You married, and every woman that passed him by, they still out here in this shit show.
And here's the funny thing, because we can be superficial, and I ain't gonna lie and say I would, because when he pulled up in that 2001 Ford Expedition, I was like, but guess what? My first luxury car I've ever had, he bought for me.
Mm. Lord have mercy. What's he driving now? I know you got him out of that expedition.
What? we, well, when he got me the BMW, then I gave him. He took my car, which was a Veracruz. It was like a 2007. It wasn't that much newer, Veracruz. But then he had an accident, so we got him a 2016 Kia Sorento. But yeah,
You got you a good man,
I do.
and you should get on Plenty of Fish and just say thank you.
Right. Look, you go back on playing fish, you're gonna start making money because of y'all. But you know what? You
Yeah.
and I love that story because I know with me, I finally gave myself the reality check this week. There was a lady that I met some 20 years ago,
Hmm.
and at the time I was in a relationship. And I know this is gonna sound like I'm a bad guy in a way, but hey, I'm gonna tell my truth. So when we met, it was just off the fact that she just moved down here from South Carolina to where I live at now in Delaware, and her coworker introduced us to each other because he was like, "Hey, this is a good guy. He lives around the area. He can show you around." So that's how I looked at it. I said, "Oh, well, I'll show you around, sister." You know what I mean? Hey, I was looking at, hey, she's a black sister. I'm gonna make sure she's good. I'm gonna show her, hey, here's some good food spots. Here's this. Here's that. Blah blah blah. So I took her over to Ruby Tuesday. So we were talking. She was talking about her boyfriend that still lives in New York. I was telling her like, hey, I'm in a relationship and blah blah blah. So we just chatting like regular people. And I said, you know what? I said, what I'll do is just let me know. And I can link you up to some homegirls that I know that are you know kind of on your level as far as professionalism and stuff like that. So that's what I did. Introduce her to some people that maybe she can get acquainted with, so she can be comfortable. That was my whole goal. Well, that didn't work out that way because I'm the one that started hanging out with her, and we were just hanging out. So I'm thinking in my mind that, hey, I'm just trying to help this sister out. All in all, I'm starting to fall in love with this woman,
Okay.
and she started falling in love with me. But we just never took it there because it was like, I got a girl, and I don't want the stereotype of me being the cheater. But all in all, guess what I was doing? I was emotionally cheating.
Yep.
I was. That was my honest thing. And it was just like, when I look back at her, me and her just had a talk a couple days ago. She, happily married. She's married. She got married. The person that she was dealing with, she got married to him, and it kind of just went to hell. She ended up meeting, a guy who pretty much, you know, got her back on her feet as far as, her confidence and all that stuff. And we, I, she explained to me, she was just like, she just asked me, why didn't you fight for me? And it was just like, I should have fought for you because I have to admit, she was the perfect non-girlfriend that I ever had. And when I say she was like, and when you start looking at like, man, I'm doing all this stuff for her that I should be doing with my girlfriend. And I wasn't you just wasn't thinking at the time because you're just like, oh man, this thing nothing because, I'm not gonna go that way to her. When I say getting her, look, finding her a salon, finding her somebody to do her hair, getting her hair done, I'm slipping it. I say, yeah, I'm gonna pay for it. I'm doing boyfriend stuff.
So you were
Did your
cheating.
girlfriend know that?
Nope.
He was cheating.
I was cheating. No, I was cheating. I was just like, and at that time, I wasn't thinking about that. Like, she was the only one that I actually allowed to see her to see my daughter. When my daughter was at an age of teen, of where you just like you're very. I was very particular. Like, yo, nobody can really see my daughter unless I'm really serious about you. You know what I mean?
And you were.
And she was the only one.
Not even your girlfriend?
Not even my girlfriend. Never saw her.
Uh-oh. Tam, you got something to say about that?
I know. I know. I know. I know. Hey, I'm telling my truth. So I already know the sins of what I did and I'm accountable for it because it was like, because when I look back at it, I was just like, she was the perfect non-girlfriend. Like I did and it was genuine what we were doing. Like we hung out, we went to the movies, like we did everything. And I was just like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? I
Well,
literally
I think what I'm hearing is kind of like what we've been going back to. Not all, you fell in love with her, but you liked her as a person.
yes,
She was your
yes.
friend, and it's funny because my mother used to tell me all the time, you should be friends, and I'm like, again, it goes back to what Tamara said. I always what I thought about the moment instead of being more substantive because my husband is my best friend, and here's the thing. Y'all asked the question. Now I'm going into the recesses of my mind. I have never in my life had a man that thinks of me all the time.
Mm.
I mean, even when he's on the road, I know he's thinking of me.
And
And
that was, oh,
and
sorry.
he, and he said to me, we did a live a few months ago, and he said that, you know, his job is to protect me from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And he said, and that includes me. That means that I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that I don't harm you. And I'm like, I ain't never had nobody. I ain't never had nobody. So, you know, he said, so that means I got to think about what I say to you. Got to think about how I say it. You know, if I'm coming off the road and I need to decompress because I know my woman, that means I'm going to go and decompress for a while before I engage. I ain't never.
Ain't that crazy? Because we have what we like. We like the type of people we like.
That's
What's
dope.
And
what's
ain't none of
good
that
to us?
none of that ever worked out. But
Yeah.
then this man just shows up in that 2001 expedition that you didn't want to get in, total opposite of anything you ever liked, and now you're the happiest you've ever been.
Yeah. So it goes back to what I said. What's good to us is not always good for us.
Yep,
Right.
man.
Yeah, man.
It goes right back to that.
And like I said, even with that situation I had, we like kind of confessed to us that we will always love each other. And we love the friendship that we had because that's one thing that we actually gave each other. We didn't give each other the relationship, but we gave each other this friendship that she said, I will always cherish, man. I was just like, and
So
I'm just looking like,
are you all still
fuck,
friends?
huh?
Are you all still friends?
Yeah, we still friends to this day. Like, and and like I said, just a couple of days ago, we kind of confessed really like our our true love to each other. It was just like,
Is she
yeah, I do love
married?
this girl. Like, I still love this girl to this day. Is this, but I can't do nothing. She's
Okay.
married. I'm gonna
Oh,
respect that marriage.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I
You
love
gotta
her
cut off
enough that
communication with her.
I love her enough where I said, I'm tell that brother I said thank you for lifting you back up into your essence of who you're supposed to be.
Oh.
So would y'all
Hey,
say that?
I lost out, and I have to. Hey, at the end of the day, I'm the loser out this situation, but that's fine. As long as guess what, she got her happiness.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say you lost out. You know, you met
I
someone
mean,
who showed
yeah,
you what could be. You know,
yeah,
she showed you what could be. You
yeah.
know, but like since we've been talking, I'm thinking maybe most of us single people are looking left when we should be looking right. You know what I'm saying? Like we all looking in the wrong places. You know, maybe we should just stop and turn around
Yeah.
You said
because
it.
I'm 53 and I'm like, man, it's difficult out here, and I meet a lot of women. You know, and ain't none of it working. That maybe I should just stop, turn around, and be like, you know, look this way instead of over here.
You know, it's funny because you said, because, you know, sometimes me and my husband will talk about, you know, the people that we met, you know, that he met before he dated me. And one was very, you know, I'm not going to say that she had a manufactured body, but she, from what he said, that she was very, you know, in shape, but she was very, I guess, wanted to show it to everybody, you know, that kind of visibility. And what he said was that the women that he encountered before me were very surface, very shallow. And by his own admission, he said, you know, I got to be honest. He said, you know, because I've been hearing a lot of talking. He said, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop with you. He said, but you remain consistent. And going back to, I think you asked me the question, my husband was consistent from the very beginning. And because again, I was looking after what I've been through, and I resolved that I was not going to be dismissing no red flags no more. I wasn't going to do that no more. But even in that, when you get to know somebody, you reckon, you know, especially the older you get, you have your own idiosyncrasies. But I saw how we even dealt with that. When I did something that he didn't like and he let me know, and then I course corrected and vice versa. And that we made an effort to ensure that we were mindful of those things. And we didn't, and we didn't make the other person feel bad about expressing what they didn't like, and we course corrected. And so again, it's so funny because I didn't know it could be like this. I think I did a video and I said, well, he and I have been dating maybe less than 6 months, because we were engaged within 6 months. And I told my sister back here, she's not my real sister, but we've been friends since 2000. And I told her, I said, I'm nervous. I said, because this is so easy. It's too easy. I'm scared because I didn't know it could be this easy. No fussing, no fighting, no cussing. I'm like, I'm nervous. And they just, this past week or so, they just celebrated 40 years of marriage. And when I told her, when we were dating, she said, well, the reason that you're uncomfortable or you're nervous and it's so easy is because this is the first time you've been in a relationship since I've known you that a man didn't need anything from you other than just to be. And you don't know what to do with yourself. That was huge for me. So, and she said, because yes, it can be that easy. Not saying that you're not going to have some struggles, you're not going to have any, because it's life is life, but it can be that easy. And I swear, 7 years, we'll be together 7 years in July. It has been easy.
So y'all are each other's peace.
Yes.
Y'all are the perfect example of just be my peace.
You know who y'all remind me of? I have my sister and my brother-in-law has been married for 52 years. I'm 48.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been celebrating, this year they're going to be celebrating, no, I'm sorry, 53 years of marriage. And I've seen their journey, once I was able to recognize them. So kind of recognizing relationships, I'm probably like 15, maybe at the time, and kind of seeing my sister, this man, dishonor my sister. But guess what? My sister did the same thing, honored him as well. Like we honored each other. Like, and I always want to say, that's the marriage I want right here. Now I love my parents' marriage too. My stepfather took care of my mom and everything, but it was something about my sisters and her husband that was like, I want that. Like, it was just beautiful, and until this day, the way I thought then, I think the same way now. Because they're best friends. They enjoy each other. They like it's like a beautiful song, a beautiful melody that you can just rewind back and play it over and over again. You would never get tired of it. And I said,
Well,
man, I wish I had that.
well, it's funny because some of the best times me and my husband have are when we sitting around watching Columbo. I'm just saying. Watching Columbo. You young, I am Evo. You don't know who that is, but yeah.
I know who Columbo is. And look, I watched it when I was 6. I had to stay at my godmother's house. I was like, we gotta watch this shit again.
We sit there watching Columbo. I swear. Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We have been going 2 hours. This has been wonderful.
This made
Tam,
my night.
what you say, Oldie?
I said this made my night. I was just laying in the bed, cruising through TikTok, and
And here you go.
Cassandra sent it to me, and then I got on here, and man, this was beautiful.
I just showed through. I think I met you before, ma'am. It was from, I guess it was from a panel. That was your friend. So when I looked, I said, oh, I remember her. I
Thank
was
you.
just, that's, oh, let me just, jump on. And like I said, I'm happy that I got to hear this too, because this is, to me, this is the conversations that we need to talk about when it comes to genuine, beautiful melodies of what love should look like.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I always told people this because people like the brother was saying, people now want to measure this love thing. Oh, this person got to look like this, have that. I'm just like, man, those are the bonuses if those things occur. But I said, what did our ancestors look at when it comes to love? Because guess what? They ain't had shit. Do remember, they had nothing but each other.
And a
So I
dirt
always tell
floor.
people this. Take exactly. I said, take all that away, and I tell people this. How can you define your love to that person?
Mm.
Because if you can't define your love in that aspect of what our ancestors chose what love was, guess what? You ain't loving nobody.
And here's something else. You know, my husband holds me down, but I hold him down too. And I think, and Tam, you may know, because Tam came to our wedding. But also, Tam, you saw me and my husband this past weekend. And my husband, you know, I'm a social butterfly. Tam is a social butterfly. My husband is a complete antithesis.
Yes, he is.
But he sat there and had a good time.
Yes, he did.
But since we had our wedding in August of 2019, he lost his job in December of 2019 when the company he had been working for 18 years went bankrupt unexpectedly. You know about Celadon Goldie, because he worked for Celadon. But when that happened, I said, you know what, babe? Take your time. Take your time. Don't feel like you have to take the first thing that comes along. Take your time. And I listened, and you know, and it worked out because I happened to have my knee replaced at the time. But at any rate, I would hear my husband on the phone negotiating with this company. He's like, oh no, I'm not gonna work for that. I'm like, you better talk your shit. So, so, but then because I had it, I said, you know, take your time. I said, I got this here. I got this here. So when he found another company that he's with now, and we were supposed to be going out for his birthday, what happened to be Valentine's Day, he glows me. He said, because he said, you gave me the courage. You encouraged me. You didn't this. He said, and you didn't complain. You just handled it. He said, and I just thank you. And that's what we're supposed to do.
You know,
That's what we're supposed to do.
like it's like you said, it's simple. Like there should be no competing. I know we live in an era where we have this Vegas things, but guess what? Two plus two, I mean 1 + 1 = 2. We can bring in the bank, baby,
You're
and enjoy this life, and we can enjoy the life simple but extravagant.
Mm.
That's always been my motto. I'm a simple guy because, like I said, for me, a car. I'm driving the 2001 Expedition, but guess what? But guess who's driving the BMW? My lady. Yo, go ahead and get the nice car.
yep,
I'm
Yeah,
cool. I'll drive the pickup truck because I don't need that. Doesn't define me. That's
yeah.
not a importance to me. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But
Yep.
what's important to me is making sure my lady has a car that's reliable and
Well, it's funny
everything. So
because
if it,
he said when we started dating, I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man, and he's a simple man. Okay, we can talk all night. Let me. I'm gonna go
oh,
ahead.
I
Okay,
apologize.
last
Yeah,
no no last words. I am, and then I'm gonna get Goldie, and then I'm gonna get Tamara. Last words, sir.
man. Let's get back to love. True, genuine love, and I thank you for proving that's how it's supposed to work. So thank you. Thank that brother. May y'all have 20 more years of love, 30 more years of love, you know, and keep it rolling. You are another role model to me.
Thank you, sweetheart. Have a good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed this, and yeah, like the song "Easy Like Sunday Morning," Lionel Richie. That's what y'all seem to have, and that's kind of love I'm looking for. Which is easy like Sunday morning. Because my
Yes.
buddy, he just got married, and I asked him the question like, "What was it about her?" And he just said, "Bro, she's easy." And I wish y'all the best. And that's a beautiful story. You should tell it more often.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Miss Tamara.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, Goldie. Tam.
So always, it's always a pleasure.
This was fun.
And when we sat and we visited, and I said, we need to get back to that because I miss it. We've got a lot to share. We have a lot of life experiences, and we've experienced a lot as we've gone on. And I truly believe that the Lord has taken us through our own individual things, not so we can sit on it, but so that we can share that with others, to give them hope and to encourage them. And so, I love, and I'm still trying to get where you are. Okay. And so that's extremely encouraging for me. And I pray to God that one day I will have the same as you, because I'm ready for it.
And let me tell you something. I claim in the name of Jesus because, see, you not only are your beauty radiates from the inside out. And Tamara has been a diva from way back. I don't have any nails, but I'm just gonna do this right here. But you're gorgeous, you're family oriented, you're smart, you're resourceful, you're loving, you can cook. If anybody listening, I'm just saying. But anyway. Anything else, Tam? And Teresa, we're going to get you on our conversation next time, baby. We'll invite you to the panel next time. We'll decide we're going to do it again. We're going to invite you up to the panel. Anything else, Tam?
No, that's all. It's been, as always, it's been great. It's been wonderful. The two gentlemen who joined, they added to it.
Yes.
I learned a lot. With Mr. Goldie.
Yes.
Mr. Master, reformed master manipulator.
Stanley Earl.
Yeah. He had a lot to say.
Yes. And he keeps it 1,000. He keeps it 1,000.
Absolutely.
He keeps it 1,000.
Absolutely.
All right, sis. Y'all have a good night. And until next time, ciao for now.